Nick, very busy times for Foundation for Arable Research.
Yes, we are busy at the moment, Rob. We've got a referendum of the growers right now, and we're hoping the growers are going to get out there and vote, and hopefully vote for FAR, obviously. So that means that I've had a number of meetings around the country with farmers to make sure they're up to date with what we're doing, and also trying to make sure they've got the latest information to prepare for next year.
Now, you wouldn't want people to be complacent and not get out there and vote.
Yes, it is really important that the farmers vote, even if they may think that we're going to get through with the vote, because we need a certain percentage of the farmers to vote to show to the Minister that we've got good support.
It's interesting that you are blindly independent.
Yes, we're lucky in that we only have one mandate, which is research and extension and getting information out to farmers. So we don't get involved in policy and lobbying regional governments or national government, and that means that we sometimes get asked to do things and provide information to those parties as well, because it's seen as independent.
That leads us really to the burning issue.
Yes, so stubble burning is a really key issue for our farmers, and it's a very useful tool in managing the stubble, but also managing pests and diseases and reducing herbicides and insecticide usage. And the ECAN asked if we'd become involved in doing a review of burning to provide good quality independent scientific information which helped them in their decision making, and as a result, or partly as a result of that, the air quality plan allows our farmers to continue to burn stubbles in most areas in Canterbury.
Lots of projects on, Nick?
Yes, we have a broad range of projects. I think we've got over 70 projects on the go at any one time in most years. But there's been a huge shift in the sorts of things that we do. So when FAR started 20 odd years ago, we're mostly involved in trying to improve productivity. So trials around disease control, cultivars, that sort of thing. And over time there's been a shift so that we became more involved in research which is going to deliver the environmental outcomes, the knowledge farmers need to reduce nitrogen leaching or to improve water usage. And more recently we've become involved in work around farm systems, and more recently again work around new products and new opportunities for farming. So a broad range of things, and constantly shifting as well.
I guess we've come a long way from Hilgendorf wheat.
Yes, we have come a long way from Hilgendorf. We've got a lot of new varieties in wheat coming through, obviously, at any one time, and the biggest shift was when we moved from spring sown wheats to autumn sown wheats and used a lot of the European plant material to increase our yields. So wheat yields have more than doubled over the last 20 years, and we're seeing similar increases with ryegrass through use of modus, nitrogen management, closing times, those sorts of things, so more than doubling of yields. And a lot of that comes back to the research we've been involved in, but also the research that other parties are doing. Going forward, I think where the real challenge is, Rob, we're looking at trying to make sure that we're utilising the soil and the water most effectively as we can within the Canterbury Plains. And I think we've got to have a rethink of our farming systems so that we move from having dairy farms, cropping farms, sheep and beef farms, to having farms and using the land within the farm most effectively for the outcome that we need. We've also got to look at and say, what are our key skills, benefits? And we've got some really great farmers out there. We've also got a climate which allows us to grow a wide range of things, and we've got soil and we've got water, and there's not many places in the world where you can put all those four together to grow things. So we've got to think about what it is that we grow. And I think going forward we're going to see quite a shift, so that we're growing products that we don't take the water out of before we send them offshore, products that are used to make some of the new food products that we're seeing coming onto the market, whether it's proteins or whether it's nutritional beverages. And our farmers need to look and see how they're going to be involved in that going forward. That's not going to happen overnight, obviously, and we're going to need research to help get there. We're also going to need to look at the business models that are in place, how farmers have more involvement in the value chain to ensure that they can get more economic benefit from these new ways of farming than what they do now.
The interesting thing is that the modern arable farmer basically runs the farm from a cell phone as a type of computer.
Oh, we have come a long way, and yes, the cell phone and the things you can do with your cell phone are just incredible, whether it's controlling the irrigator or whether it's recording all your farm inputs and paddock inputs through something like Production Wise, which we've got out there for our farmers. And we're looking at where we take that sort of technology. What is it we're going to do with it going forward? How are we going to use the software within your cell phone to manage the biosecurity at your farm border? Not at our country border. The most important border for a farmer is the farm border. So is there some sort of e-fence that can be on your cell phone, so when I go onto your farm, it alerts you that somebody who shouldn't be there is there, so you can manage the biosecurity more effectively. So these are the sorts of things we've got to look at going forward. We've also got to think about how we get the sort of technology that can be captured, the data that can be captured from the tractor, from the GPS systems, so that we can look at it on our phone and make sense of it and help it to make decisions.
How do we compare as far as R&D is concerned with the rest of the world?
Well, I think that we're fortunate in that we have good involvement by our sectors in the R&D, and so we have very close contact with our farmers, and the other sectors do. So we have that sort of linkage going very well. The agricultural investment in R&D is very, very significant because the timeframes to get an outcome are very long. So we might be 15 years from when we start a project until when something can be put in place on the farm by the farmer. Whereas Sony, for example, might be 12 months from when they start a project till they've got a new product on the shelf. And we've got to realise there's an awful lot of money tied up with R&D, and that's the same internationally as well in the agricultural sectors. One of the countries I'm fairly familiar with what they're doing is in the UK, and there each of the individual sectors has now come together into a larger organisation, the Agricultural and Horticultural Development Board. And so the dairy industry, the sheep industry, the arable industry and the horticultural industry are all under the one banner. And that means that there's some savings in obviously the overheads, but it also means that across that you can have particular skills applied. So somebody that's got really good skills in the environment can apply those to dairying or to arable. And I think there's some real merits in those sorts of systems, and that's something maybe we need to be thinking about. How do we do it more cost effectively and with better outcomes for the farmers in New Zealand as well?
Now, I think it's fair to say you've got a very sharp pencil.
Yes, we do have a very sharp pencil. We don't have a huge amount of money to invest in R&D, and research is expensive. So we have to be very, very careful about not only what projects we invest in, but also how we get the best outcomes out to the farmers. And we've got a number of ways that we try and make sure we do deliver the outcomes really well. And one of the changes we made a number of years ago was to involve our team in doing some of the research. So they're not involved in all projects, but in many of the projects, some of our team will be doing some of the research. We don't have the high-powered science capability within FAR, but we have the ability to be involved in doing field measurements and that sort of thing. And that has three benefits as I see it for our farmers. The first one is that because we're involved, we can be sure that the research that's done is really high quality research. And our guys are out there, so they see if things are going wrong and things aren't done on time and so on. The second reason is that when we go out there to deliver the information to farmers, the guys know what they're talking about. The team have been there, they've been involved, they can go and they can talk to the farmers and they can answer the questions. And the third one, which is a minor one, but which is what we started this conversation from, is that we have significant cost savings from that because our overheads are fairly low, and we certainly can operate more cost effectively in that sort of research than some of the CRIs or universities.
You must be very proud of your staff.
Oh, I've got a great team. They're absolutely fantastic. They understand what's needed with the research, but they also understand what the farmers are asking of them and are working closely with the farmers as well.